Welcome to Narrowboat that James built. Hope you're well. Thanks for joining me. I'm in Hackney at the moment. This is the Regent's Canal. Lovely day here in London, but don't be fooled, there is bad weather on its way, and at the end of Friday I've got to be up in York for a stag do, but between now and then I've got a load of meetings in central London, and then I've got to go and see the kids this evening, and then get back to the boat and make it secured for the bad weather that is on its way here. I'm now in the city. Just had another meeting, which has all gone well. Got to go back to the car now and drive to Fulham or Chelsea, I think, and I've got another meeting there. And then I'm going to see the kids, and then I've got to get back to the boat because it's so bloody windy. I'm nervous about. Well, luckily it's on mooring rings, so I'll be all right for that. I've only got one rope on it. I haven't got string lines. So I need to get back to the boat and check it's all secure and stuff and all nicely moored up and batten down the hatches. Right, so I've now finished my last meeting for the week because I'm now going on that stag do. So I'm in Chelsea and I've got one more thing to do this afternoon, and that is to go for afternoon tea with Ava. Got to chat to her about a few things, but I'm taking her to the Ritz. Damn it, it's closed. I'll have to go somewhere else. I've come to mum number two's. I've brought all the kids here. She wanted to go to the gym, so I've come here to look after them all. I made them meatballs and rice and homemade chocolate mousses. I was inspired by Dave from Cruising the Cut. He made them on his Narrowboat a few weeks ago, so I thought I'd do the same. The kids wolfed them down, they loved it, so that was very good. There's an extra one in the fridge for mum number two, but that might find its way into my belly before she gets home. Anyway, the kids are all kind of, well, I think Arthur's dead there on the floor. Oh no, sleeping lions, that's fine. So yeah, I'll be here for a little bit and then drop them all home and then get back to the boat for about 10 o'clock and make sure everything's hunky-dory. Right, I'm sorry the fact I'm doing this at night. Obviously it doesn't make it easy at all, but this is what I've got to do because the storm is coming in a few hours. I'm really lucky, firstly, that there are no trees above me. Actually, I think the only tree that could fall and hit me is the one on the other side of the canal, but by the time it was to hit, I'm only getting the tops of those branches, so that's nothing bad. But there is nothing around which can fall on the boat directly, like a massive trunk of a tree, and crush the boat. So that's a good thing, because boats do sink like that. Anyway, so this is about the mooring lines. So my normal setup is like this. Luckily, I'm really lucky here because I'm on rings. There's also Armco, so I've got plenty of choice. I'm not on pins. Basically, if you're on pins, you've got a double pin in a storm. You should double pin anyway, but certainly in a storm, you need to double pin. So, but I'm on rings, so I'm really lucky. But this is my normal setup. So, single rope backwards, back to the stern there, to that. And then at the front of the boat, I've got the bow line going to that ring there. So that's the normal setup. In storm though, what you need is something called spring lines, and it stops the boat moving that way, basically, longitudinally. Well, I'm eventually back at the boat after a long day of running around, and I've got a few things to do before the storm comes in a few hours. The first thing is to redo my mooring lines. You'll hear a lot about spring lines, and I'll explain what they are, and to help do that I shall use my trusty whiteboard. So when you tend to moor up a narrowboat, or any boat really, so if you've got the bank there and this is your boat here, you tend to moor up using breast lines, and they, well, a typical breast line is kind of perpendicular to the boat, so it goes from the stern straight to the bank or the dock or wherever you're at, like that. You could even use a centre line as well, and that's what it'd be. But you'll see from there, there's quite a lot of aft and fore movement in the boat. It could move kind of backwards and forwards quite easily, and under strong winds, it could easily do that. So you tend to moor up. Do it again. Slightly smaller version. You tend to moor up with your breast lines a little bit aft and fore of the boat, and that basically eliminates some of the backward and forward movement of the boat, and that works fine. The problem is, under strong winds, these lines here don't dissipate the energy enough, and under very strong winds they can snap. So what you tend to use is something called spring lines. So you got your boat like that. That's pretty bad. And the reason why those are quite successful in normal conditions is because they follow some of the axis of the boat, and spring lines basically does that, but more exaggerated. So your stern line basically goes fore of the stern, so it kind of comes into a central point here, ideally about halfway of the boat, at minimum halfway of the boat, so it should be around kind of there, and your fore line goes to there and then back again, and then your bow line basically goes aft back to there and then back to the bow. And you'll see there that it's got, obviously, it follows the axis much closer, and it absorbs the energy much better, obviously keeps it much more secure. And then you can obviously fix it again there and there as well. So kind of that's spring lines basically. So where I am, luckily I'm on rings, so I'm going to do exactly this. I've got one ring there, one ring there, one ring there, and that one there. So what I'll be doing is using that one to there and that one to there, so I have 4 lines on it. So that'll be the plan. So yeah, in a awful artist impression, those are spring lines. Okay, so I've redone my mooring lines, so I've doubled up on that one there. I've got my stern spring line there going towards the midships, and then from a midships I've got my bow spring line going to the bow there, and then I've got another one going down to there. So I think that's as secure as it's going to get. I've taken everything off the roof and solar panels. Well, I've got some bungee cords on them. The mushroom vents have been covered just with them to stop those kind of bashing down on them, smashing the glass. But it's now kind of 2 in the morning and wind's picking up. The boat behind me's got a canoe on its roof. I don't think that's going to be there tomorrow. Right, let's see how we get on. Alright, it's 7 o'clock in the morning, and it's been quite windy today, but nothing horrific so far. Morning. Oh, aren't you cute? You're getting blown about, mate. Oh, I hope you fare well today, mate. Alright, let's check back in an hour. Right, it's now 8 o'clock in the morning, and this is 70-mile-an-hour winds. Wow. There's almost breakers in the cut. But everything looks fine, to be honest. It's been blowing 70-mile-an-hour winds now for about 3 hours, and the boat's faring fine. The spring lines that I put on last night are holding up nicely. The stern cover is working fine. I was worried about the wind getting underneath it and pushing it up, but that's all right. The only other thing is the stove here. I've had it on pretty low because obviously you don't want the wind coming down the flue and engulfing the flames at all. So that's all been pretty low. So yeah, those are the kind of main things I've done to prepare the boat, and luckily they've all worked quite well. So I think we've escaped the worst of the storm down here in Ricky. The canal's obviously still got quite a lot of waves and movement to it, but the boat and everything around it's all pretty secure, so that's good. I've checked the LNER website and it looks like my 1256 train is still running, although all the others have been cancelled. So I'm going to head myself to King's Cross now, and then hopefully if I can get a seat or it's not too horrific, then I'll stay on that. Otherwise I'll come back and drive up. But I think yeah, the 70-mile-an-hour winds that they were forecasting have been okay. I think 90-mile-an-hour would have been a little bit worse, but this has been fine, to be honest. So yeah, happy days. As I said, I've got a mate staying on the boat. What's today? Today's Friday. I've got a mate staying on the boat on Saturday. My mum and dad will check on the boat tonight, so that should be fine. I'll be back on Sunday. But in the meantime, let's get myself up to York. And Mum, you'll be pleased to know that the runner fits in here nicely in the galley, but it didn't fit into the other bit up by the bathroom and bedroom like you thought it might. But it's nice down here. Thank you very much. Well, it's pretty windy out here still, but the boat's all fine. Everything's secured nicely. Spring lines have worked well. My solar panels are still in place. Rain covers on as much as it can be. So yeah, it's all right. Well, despite what I checked before departing, all the trains are now either delayed indefinitely or cancelled. All the ones to York are anyway. So I think we're going to hedge our bets and get back on the train, go back to the car and drive up. I'm driving right past the junction for North Kilworth here. Might pop in on my way back. Well, got to York. This is the hotel room. Lovely, very romantic. I'm sure Nick and I are really going to enjoy that. It's still pretty windy, but we've arrived at the hotel in York. Everything's hunky-dory, but drove up in the end. All the trains were cancelled, so I think we've made the right choice to drive up here. It took 4 hours, everything was all right. A few overturned lorries on the way up, which is a bit scary, but I drove Mum's car, so it's a bit more weighty than the little Fiesta. So yeah, I'm here in one piece, which is good, here for the weekend. I'll probably show you a bit of York whilst I'm up here, maybe do a video for the members later on in the weekend, but hope you guys are very well, and if you're on your boats this weekend, hope you guys are safe and sound. Take care, bye bye.